Ooh, what's up? Sorry, let me start over.
I don't know if I want to let you. I think I want to lock you into that. You could do it again, but I think we're locked in. We're locked in.
All right. What's going on, everyone? It is a super spooky special episode of the Funhaus Podcast. Lindsay is out today on a cruise somewhere, but here I have Charlotte that is going to be helping me out today on today's podcast. Charlotte does this thing that I really like and admire called the Sunday Spookies.
No,
nope, where
it's not called that.
Spooky Sundays?
It's on the screen. Nope, Sunday
Scaries.
Yeah. Locked in. We're locked in.
I was close. Anyway, she takes a little bit out of her Sunday every single Sunday and watches a scary or spooky movie. And I always have fun whenever it's Monday and we're around the water cooler like we do at work.
All day.
And I'm always like, Charlotte, what was your Sunday scary this Sunday?
And I'll often say I didn't watch one.
Oh, well.
Because that's part of Sunday Scaries is it doesn't have to be on Sunday.
Look, it's hard to do something every single week.
Yeah, I was supposed to do one this past Sunday, and I abstained so I could play video games.
It's hard to have a routine. I totally understand. So anyway, it's cool that you have Sunday Scaries on any day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
And so
spread the love around the calendar.
We are going to go through some of, or maybe all of the ones that you've gone on and watched on Sunday
talk about
Scaries.
we're here at the beginning of October.
That's why we're doing
watch
this. Yeah.
scary movies. It is why we're doing this. That's right. I know how it works. I used to be a host of this podcast.
Wow,
you know,
really?
I used to be something in this town.
How did I get this job?
Armando left.
Yes, Sunday Scaries.
Yeah, right. Now, okay, there was some confusion as to whose podcast this was in the beginning off mic. Because I was like, oh, I'm guessing on the Funhouse Podcast, the show Ryan hosts every week. And Ryan was like, Charlotte will be starting us off. And I was like, news to me.
I thought I was on her podcast, Sunday Scaries.
It can't be the Sunday Scary Podcast one day out of the rest of the year.
As
much as I would love that. So I'll give a little background on Sunday Scaries. It was never done for content. Like, I mean, like, I want to talk about it because I like talking about scary movies with you. And you're the kind of local cinephile here in Los Angeles. Everyone goes to Ryan, the movie guy.
I have nothing to say, but I do watch movies. So
and I'll be the Siskel to his Ebert. But I used to be a weenie. You know,
you love Ween too? Hell yeah!
Is that what the fans call themselves?
Wieners, weenies, whatever.
Weenies, got it. Yeah. I admit I'm not in the fold, but Dean Ween, he's from Philadelphia area, right?
New Hope,
New Hope,
Pennsylvania.
yes. Yeah. New Hope it's like a gay biker river town.
Hell yeah!
And I did some community theater there.
Okay.
Yeah, I was Toulouse in a production of Aristocats Jr.
Aristocats,
which is pretty scary.
Jr.
Yeah,
that should be on your Sunday Scaries. Yes,
yeah. Well, I do have some questionable entries on this that some people may disagree with, but we can get into it. But yeah, I used to. I guess not. You didn't listen to Ween. I used to be a pussy bitch.
Oh.
And I couldn't watch scary movies. I'd only seen like a handful. Like I'd seen It Follows and pretty much nothing else. I'd seen Hereditary.
Wow. So and no classic
and
ones
those are scary.
Like Halloween or
I think I'd seen like Halloween with a friend, like the original.
Okay.
And then I had this psycho friend who was the kind of guy that was like, check this out, I'll play all the good scenes. And then would just skip around and show me the kills and stuff, which like you could go watch, is it Dead Meat?
Okay.
The YouTube channel? Yeah. And he does that much better than my buddy. Yes. A friend of the family. But yeah, I started last year around Halloween because like I'm not a Halloween is my Christmas kind of gal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not.
You're not one of those kind of weenies.
I'm not one of those. No, I'm not one of those. Well, I used to be a weenie, but now I'm a Halloweenie. Yeah, right. And so last year I started with like I don't even remember because I didn't have the Letterboxd list until like a month or so ago when I was like I got to start keeping track of this. But I watched like the 2017 It remake. I watched. I might have watched X in that same time. I think I watched The Platform pretty early on, the Spanish movie.
I told you about that
You told me about that one, yeah. But I went through and to the best of my abilities, I kept track of what I've been watching because I basically, through exposure therapy, because I was missing out on a huge slice of culture. And like, I am so glad I did it because horror is so fun and so inventive and like exists in a like, in like an indie way that like no other like genre seems to.
Absolutely, it's pure cinema.
Yeah, it's like, and it's funny, and it's like heartfelt sometimes, and also just like silly, and like you can just appreciate something for just inventive kills. Like I never used to get that where someone would be like, "This movie's like kind of fine, but there's one really cool kill," and I would be like, "I don't understand." So that's how I feel about X with the pitchfork.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I haven't seen Pearl yet.
I have not either.
Okay, I heard it's fine.
I haven't seen Max 616 either.
Is that out?
No.
Oh, okay. You just haven't seen it because it's not out yet.
Yeah.
Maxine.
Yes.
That's about the first character.
It's in the 80s,
character.
I think, all of a sudden. Yeah, it's the first character.
Oh, because the
after
first one's in the
movie.
70s. That's right.
Yeah.
And the Pearl is a prequel.
Yes. And
Yeah.
for like
Well,
a
we can get to it. Do we
All right,
just
yeah,
want to
let's
go
just-
down the
let's just-
list?
Let's just jump right into it.
I think this is some of them. I'm not really sure what the order is on this because it's not by release. Because Talk to Me is the most recent, but then 28 Days Later is the next one.
Did you add them in order of how you when you saw
You know
them
what?
chronologically?
I think it is mostly ordered by release, just looking at these, but for some reason, the 28 Days Later one is mislabeled in the data on Letterboxd.
Got
I don't know why
it.
it's up there, but it is
That
in.
makes sense.
It's in order by date.
Should we get
newest
Rick to
oldest.
order it by when you added it? Or-
Yeah, let's do that.
Rick, if you could sort the list by when Charlotte added it.
Only recently though would it actually be accurate to
It's
when I
fine,
watch
yeah.
stuff.
Now,
But, like-
while he's doing that, one thing you kind of just touched on this, but I really respect the fact that you basically you saw this as a blind spot in your viewing habits. You had not seen enough horror, and then you're like, "Fuck it, I'm going to tackle horror."
Yeah.
As a genre as a whole. I like to do that with like directors. It's like, "Oh man, I haven't seen enough Paul Schrader movies," and then all of a sudden, boom! I'll just like take a month and watch all of them.
Man,
You know?
I should put the card counter on this.
Yeah, right.
Horrified. That one scene with the fisheye lens.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Have you seen Master Gardener yet?
No.
This is his new one. It's good. It's so funny because I got my friend Mara to watch all of them recently, and she was like, all of these just have this white guy protagonist with a voiceover, like a la Taxi Driver, which he also wrote.
Yeah,
which is
right.
Just kind of like him writing in a journal. That's it. It's like somebody writing in a journal, and then you hearing what they're writing.
It's a very like old school
Yeah.
like tactic to tell the story.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, because I've been watching. I've been like eliminating a lot of blind spots. I just started watching the original Star Trek series.
Okay, I
and,
will
like,
never do that.
That's a ton of like voiceover.
Not that it's not good,
It's pretty
probably.
fun. I mean, like,
I assume
but
it
I
is.
am kind of like dreading having to get all the way through it because I want to watch the movies, but I'm starting all the way back.
God, that's like you're like Omar trying to watch 1,000 One Piece episodes.
Yeah, well, he's
in
on
a
like
month.
500.
I know, and like no time at all.
And I'm on episode 12 of the original Star Trek run, which feels just as impressive. It's just as much a slog. Sometimes some of them. We're not here to talk about that. We're not here. But
All right,
I like tamping down those blind
Yeah,
spots. I
me
just
too.
recently started doing it with punk music.
Oh,
And I said
nice.
to my friend, I'm like, I don't know punk, and he was like, I got you. And
I-
he's out
I-
of work because of the strike, so he made me a by era 9 playlists of like a compendium of punk.
I would like to get in on that.
Well, then
too.
we talk about that. But
Yeah.
we're here to talk about Sunday Scaries. I would say just go to the original screenshot and we'll go through it. I don't know what you're doing right now. Okay.
Okay.
Well, have you watched any scary movies lately?
It's not really scary, but I watched this movie that John Smith recommended to me. I could not recommend it enough. Called Between the Two Infinite Minutes, or
Oh, that's the COVID like apartment movie, right? It's like
what, is it a COVID movie?
they're in an apartment.
Earliest or sort by latest?
Start by I don't know. Latest?
Yeah,
Sort by latest. Let's find out what happens here. I didn't really use Letterboxd. This is my first list.
It took me a long time because I have everything logged on IMDb. Like every movie I've ever seen is rated on IMDb. I have it
Really?
pulled up right here. And then there is a way, which I've done, that I can export and
that's fair, I
transfer that
think.
to Letterboxd. But now it's like every time I rate a movie, I want to have to go to 2 different spots. So I'm like, whatever. I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks that like any like cool site will eventually get acquired. Can you zoom on this and go to the top? I know where I
here
wanna
we
start.
are.
Okay, so we'll start with some Cronenberg. I saw the Brood at the top. Yeah, there at the top left. This is late 70s Cronenberg. My friend Reina Cervantes, who's like a writer for horror publications, did a screening for her podcast at the Draft House.
Oh, yeah?
And I don't know how this list works out because I can already see it's not quite how I added it, but that's fine. But we watched The Brood. Is a double feature of The Brood, which is like brooding, very like slow burn, dark, extremely personal, right into Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, which like
such a weird double feature.
Yeah, which I honestly don't know if I could call. I mean, like there are some great scares, and it's really like unsettling gore in Chainsaw 2. And I hadn't seen the first one.
What?
I know. I just wanted to go to the screening though,
Oh,
and like
wow.
I was gonna see
All right.
because night one that I couldn't go to was High Tension and Ichi the Killer.
Hot tension.
Is it a German thing?
It's French, I think.
Oh,
hot tension.
tension
Alexander,
is- Yeah, but The Brood was crazy.
Yeah, that movie's great.
I've seen The Fly,
Okay.
and I've seen no other Cronenberg.
Have you seen Shivers?
No, like literally, I've
Is-
just seen The Fly and The Brood.
I might be crazy, but I think Shivers might be The Brood. Like, hold on, I'm trying to figure it out.
The
Oh, no,
same
no, no, I'm
movie?
sorry. The Brood is different. Yeah, there's The Brood, Rabbit, and Shivers, which are all his early Canadian movies, which I kind of mix up a bunch because they're,
Right,
they're all Cronenberg.
Once you get far enough north, it's all the same. Like, why do they have 3 territories?
Exactly.
Just make one province, make one territory.
I remember very little about The Brood, but I have it as a 9 out of 10 here on IMDb. I loved it, apparently.
It's all set up, and also like apparently Cronenberg was going through a tenuous divorce at the time and
Makes
put
sense.
that completely into the movie. And there's lines where like it's like, how can a mother take the child away from the father even if she's not fit to raise the child? And I'm like, and I'm sitting here having just watched like a Brandon Cronenberg movie, and I'm like, that's who he's talking about?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
We'll get to that.
Jesus.
And Thirst. I was on a Korean horror
Park
kick.
Chan-wook.
Yeah. So first I saw The Devil a couple months ago.
Was that based on my recommendation?
That was one that a lot of people recommended.
Okay.
But like it was definitely like factored in. So like I don't know what it is about the Korean culture that makes them so good at depicting really fucked up revenge. Like
Yes.
because like you watch movies and you're like, damn, I feel like death is like too easy and out for this big bad. Like that's kind of like how it's structured, right? Like the bad guy either gets killed or spared, but like they never really truly suffer. Like there's maybe a moment of humility, like my plan didn't work. But in Korean horror, it's extremely fucked up. Because I watched Old Boy too.
Yes, his really big masterpiece.
Yeah, which every time I say I watched Old Boy, Jacob's like, the Josh Brolin one? I was like, no.
You mean the Spike Lee one?
Is that Spike Lee?
Yes.
I had no idea. It
So
can't
weird.
be good, right?
No, it is not good.
Okay, got it.
But I love Thirst. I saw it in the movie theater, and I will never forget that final vampire fight.
Oh,
where
yeah,
the sun's
God.
coming up, and they're flying around. I love the shit out of that.
Because like it answers every like question, because it's a very personal story, but like it also like makes sense. Because like when I've watched other vampire things where I'm like, just get under a blanket, like just like cover yourself with your cloak, like you'll be fine. But like he keeps thwarting her, and it's just such a good personal story, and like she's just such an interesting, complex character. It's about a priest who checks himself into like a virus clinic. I'm still not super clear on why he does this. He volunteers to have himself given a virus, and in getting the virus, he has to have emergency surgery, and he's given blood and transfusion, but it's vampire blood. I don't know where it comes from. But then, like, it's a whole story about him, like, about the urges, and like about him like fighting with his internal battle with like Christianity and stuff. And like, I'm telling the audience, obviously, you've seen it.
Sure.
Yeah, but yeah.
If you get a chance, I really love his movie The Housemaiden.
Oh, that recently came out, right? Or well, in the
it's
past
been the
like
last
few
10
years. Yeah, last
probably.
decade. That's
But-
recent for me.
Well, his last movie was Decision to Leave, which I honestly,
You and John saw that together.
they called it a divorce thriller, which I was really excited about. But it was okay. I didn't love
mean-
it as much as it's no The Brood.
It's no marriage story. I mean, I honestly that would be fun to do like a divorce double feature.
Yeah, I'm sure
I don't know. I
You
feel
ever
like
seen Kramer versus Kramer? That's a good divorce.
no,
movie.
I should see that. That's like I got a whole like bunch of stuff that I need to get to.
Yeah,
Also, if you want to like pick out any movie from these, I'm just gonna keep running
Divorce
down the
movies are
list.
your blind spot. Another one that needs to be.
Yeah. Well, I need to get married first, so then I'll be I'll have like a wife who's like, "Why are you watching all these divorce movies?" And I'm
Well,
like,
hit me
"Nothing."
with it. What's your next one?
All right.
You don't have to scroll up yet, right?
Yeah, you can go back to the top. So The Descent, hated in a
You
good
hated
way.
it?
In a good way.
Oh, I
Like
love
it
the
made
shit
me
out of it.
so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It like elicited something that most movies have not. It's about like these cave divers. It's an Irish movie, right?
Is it Irish? I know it's not. I thought it was
think it is.
English. But
It might be English. It's
be
somewhere in
right.
the UK. I'm pretty sure it's an Irish movie, and it's like a bunch of unknowns and stuff. But like, it involves like a supernatural element. But the worst part is just claustrophobia. Just like being in these tunnels, like it is so scary to me.
Now, obviously, there's spoilers in this podcast, but remind me, what's the supernatural element? I thought that they were like,
Spoiler
I
territory.
thought they were like incestuous cave people.
Okay, I mean, I guess it's not supernatural, but like it stretches the bounds of what we understand to be possible.
Well,
Is that
I thought it was very grounded.
It's humans who lived in a cave system and evolved to eat other people and hunt at night and have no eyes and super strength.
It could totally happen. You know, we don't know. We haven't done
I've
enough
never been to
evolution of
Ireland.
cave
I guess
people.
you're right. Yeah. Thank you for checking me on that. I'm sorry to say that. Guys, please don't be so liberal with your application of terms and genre. I'm gonna keep it trucking. Belko Experiment, not really horror. But
Really? I would totally call this. I mean,
psychological thriller, maybe.
well, it has,
But
just
it's in the horror umbrella.
the sheer amount of gruesome violence and gore.
It is pretty gory, yeah.
I would call that alone would put it in the horror category for me.
I guess
you
I
see
would
a
check out-
man's face get caved in, basically, or stomped on.
That
Remember
is true. Yeah, that was cool.
That was
And
awesome.
this was I don't remember who directed it, but it was written by James Gunn.
Yeah, James Gunn wrote
Which
it.
like I'm seeing like all the actors. I see his brother come in, and then I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. What did you think about the end of that film? Because I
How does it end? Spoilers.
It ends basically where it's
Oh,
like there's a
right.
franchise of these around,
Yes,
right?
it's like a third party that does this all over the world
right.
to like. It felt like it was like leading to something. I mean, I thought that was fine. I think there was like a type of movie that kind of proliferated in the early 10s that was like very much focused on like what a mind fuck. And I feel like with like Donnie Darko and the like, you had to have some kind of like twist. And I truly don't think the movie needed that. I liked how self-contained it was.
Yeah.
But also like, I mean, I literally stopped thinking about it. Like I did not remember that being an element of it.
Well, it wasn't like a huge thing. To me, it felt like just obviously trying to set it up for a sequel. kind of
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
Where it's like, okay, like
That is what it felt like.
I wish the twist felt cooler and not just like it was just trying to get me to watch another one, but I don't know.
Yeah, it could have ended like a few minutes earlier and still done the
Sure,
reveal, but
yeah.
like not feel like it's setting up for anything. Like there's a chosen one. I don't know. I thought it was cool, and I want to watch more of these. Like the thing about these movies, the kind where like you get normal people in a room and then you raise the tension until they realize that the only way out is to actually like hurt each other. This, I don't know what you would
Battle
call that.
Royale.
Kind of battle royale thing.
Hunger
The
Games.
best thing about a battle royale is when people realize it's real.
Yeah.
Like that, like in the Belko experiment, like the first time someone's head explodes, it's spoilers. That's pretty early, but like I want to see a movie that does battle royale and extends that moment, because after that release, it becomes less fun for me. Because then it's just survival, and like the boss, like it's the boss basically like becomes like a tyrant, murderous tyrant, and like that kind of speaks to like the relationship between worker and boss. But like that disbelief is so fun when it's like, surely this guy's not actually going to try to kill me, my boss. Like if Omar like pulled out like a shotgun and walked out of his office, there would be a moment of like, this isn't real, right? Like I just like that release is so good that I want it to come later somehow, but it also, you can't really have any of the action or gore or horror until after that moment.
No, that makes sense. That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it, and it's on my horror list. I think I wasn't as scared by it. So sometimes I make like a mental distinction.
Sure.
Whereas It Follows.
Moving on to It Follows.
Yeah.
I love the shit out of this
That
movie.
movie fucking rips. That movie is so good. This preceded my Sunday Scaries.
Well, it's
It
funny
was so
because
good.
like when I first saw it, I saw it in the movie. I saw it like the Vista, and I fucking loved it. Like literally, I just remember hearing like the sound of people's feet going like tapping, and
Just
they're
out of anxiety.
out of
and
anxiety
nerves.
of just, and it's literally just people walking at the slowest snail's pace ever. But it was so effective. And then I remember going. I was like, I loved it so much that I brought a whole bunch of friends to go see it again.
Yeah.
And I think I had hyped it up too much because I definitely
Oh.
think some people were like, that was okay. It was a lot of just people walking around, and then the ending is. I can understand people's argument that the ending is maybe a little ungratifying with like the whole pool scene, but I loved it when I saw it the first time.
Yeah, that felt kind of like a callback to like typical like monster like Freddy and Jason kind of stuff. Like is like we're going to get the upper hand on this monster.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, like, has any other horror movie so poignantly dared to ask, what if there was a really tall guy behind you?
no,
No, that's like the
as
scariest
effective
thing
as
I've
this.
ever seen in a movie is that part. And like, if you haven't seen this movie, I'm not even gonna give you any details on that because like, it's just like, and also it's really, who's the director of that? Because that's the guy who
David Mitchell something.
is he the one who did Under the Silver Lake?
David Robert Mitchell? Yes,
right?
Under the Silver
I
Lake.
haven't seen that.
I started watching it, and I was like, man, this movie is way better than I heard it was. I fell
Yeah.
asleep because I started it too late. It was my own fault, not the
Mhm.
movies. But it's a strange movie.
Yeah, from what I understand, he was uncompromising, and so whichever studio is responsible for
A24.
was it A24?
Yeah.
Because it got like no distribution.
Yeah, they
there was
dumped
a
it.
ton of hype, and then it just was completely left by the wayside.
And it definitely seems like a weird niche movie that I could probably see them watching it and then test screening it and going, this movie is going to bomb so hard for if we put any more money into this marketing.
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
not
it
worth
was so hyped though. I can't believe I haven't seen it yet because I remember when the first trailer came out, I was such a big fan of It Follows,
Yeah.
and I just didn't. So maybe I will check that out. That is so weird too because that's such a not A24 move. It's like Annihilation, because I have another Alex Garland movie later on the list.
Mhm.
But like Annihilation, I remember was like amazing, and whichever studio was like, you need to change the ending, and he said no, and then so they pulled international distribution and it went to Netflix instead.
Mhm.
So it had a theatrical run only in the U.S.
Weird.
and then it aired on Netflix everywhere else.
Huh.
So they just like did not want to like further pay for distribution, which is like so weird because Annihilation I feel like is like beloved.
Well, and the end of that movie is great,
It's phenomenal.
That's like
yeah.
the best part of the movie.
Whereas the movie I have on this list, I would say the opposite.
which is
Men.
oh yes, Men.
I mean, a horror movie.
I guess.
I mean, like,
or I guess it's
maybe
a movie.
It became a horror movie, but for like no reason. It wasn't saying anything.
I mean, or was it not? I mean, I thought it was saying a lot.
I think it was
Or
saying a
trying
lot
to,
of the same
attempting
thing
to.
of like, man. And I'm just like, yeah, I got opinions about men, but you got to say more.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, it just is like so cartoonish at times, and I love Jesse Buckley.
That movie kind of pissed me off. At the end of the movie, and spoiler alert, the last 11 minutes or so of this movie is just completely batshit insane.
It's so unsettling.
It made me kind of appreciate it at the end. I'm like, I kind of just sitting there with throwing my hands up in the air going, what in the fuck are we doing
I
here?
mean,
and
yeah.
I was like, this looks pretty amazing.
The effects were really good.
I'm like, so I guess points to him for effort for trying, but what the fuck is this thing?
It just was like such a trip, and I feel like it was mostly, I mean, like, I know it was like saying some things, but it felt almost just like pure shock, which I don't know. I feel like the movie had said more earlier, just with like the behavior and acting, and like there was such good stuff early on, like when she's walking through that tunnel and singing, and we first see the silhouette, like, and that's the kind of movie I thought it was gonna be, like being followed by a naked man in the woods. But then it goes like 200% like super over the top, and like I couldn't fuck with it. And like there had been parts that had made me uncomfortable earlier, but like, and I'm not the most squeamish person, but there's a part with a knife and a door that is the most unsettling thing I've ever seen. Like even more unsettling than the end of the movie, because the end of the movie I was like, whatever the fuck. But that part was like, Oh, I was like putting my hands in front of my face, and I was like, I would be like the night vision, like audiences everywhere are terrified by men, and it's like the week 1 trailer. But yeah, I mean, it's on the list obviously, and I like when things go like from 0 to 100. I do like that. Like I have the Suspiria remake on here.
Okay.
I have both Suspirias on here, but
So
like
sick.
the end of it was it 2018? Yeah, the end
The
of that
Luca
one, the Tilda Swinton one. Yeah, yes. Which, if you're not aware, it's a remake of a Spanish or French?
Argento, Dario Argento, Italian.
Italian, yes, an Italian horror movie from the 70s, which is like super trippy and really
Yep.
fun. It's very slow burn, but it's made by the director of Call Me by Your Name, the remake.
The remake is, yes.
And it's like, it goes all the way past, at the end. Like literally the saturation is so high that like it becomes a different visual identity at the end. And it kicks ass. Like it was really cool. I guess, yeah, now we're talking about Suspiria.
Yeah, Suspiria, it's slow. Both versions are pretty slow and very long.
Yeah.
That's my one complaint. But
The first one was, I wouldn't have watched it if a friend hadn't been like, you got to watch this.
well, Argento movies, he's one of those guys, if you're not super familiar with horror, it's just like he was a big deal at the time, super, influential filmmaker, but I don't think a lot of his films are that accessible to a modern audience.
Sure, yeah.
To put it lightly. They're
I almost
very
like
slow burns.
wish somebody had like digested it and given me an abridged version.
Like the person who just showed you all the kills.
Yeah. I'll get my buddy from middle school to come over and be like, check this out. She falls into a room with barbed wire. It's so sick, dog. and that would be that. But if you're Tilda Swinton head, she plays 3 characters in the remake. And it's very fun. And it also, what I really like about what the remake did, because like, it's not a page. It's not a word for word. It's not a verbatim remake.
No.
It's very much its own identity. And what it does is it takes the original and it sets it in 80s West Berlin. And like it's an extremely like political like context for it to exist in. And so like it gives this like, because the first one's like everything happens in that building and there's nothing really outside of it that concerns you. But like the second one, or the remake, they kind of did it like Evil Dead, I guess, which I have one of those on here. But
Perfect.
And I should add the first 2. I've watched them both. But it just builds it out so much that it makes the characters in the world so much more impactful. Yeah. Ryan's choice. You want to pick one out of these?
Oh yeah. Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna go with Bong Joon-ho's The Host.
Yes.
I love Bong Joon-ho. I'm a big Bong fan.
This one's
both
very
kinds.
not super horror-y. It's
Yeah.
really not.
Well, yeah. Do you consider Godzilla a horror movie?
No.
Okay, yeah, I guess not.
I
It's
mean,
an
like,
action movie,
I wouldn't.
maybe?
It's like its own thing. I mean, there's horror elements.
There's
Definitely.
monsters,
There's
so
monsters
you think-
and some effects that have aged.
And this is So if you haven't seen The Host, it's kind of it's a subversion of the giant monster movie.
Yeah. Yes.
Is what I'd say. And it's a really smart, awesome movie from Bong Joon-ho, Oscar winner for Parasite.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's about a family trying to go back and save their daughter or son. I forget.
It's the family and it's the one guy's daughter.
One guy's daughter.
Yeah, who's taken in the beginning of the movie.
Who's taken by the monster. And it's about them trying to
with a
save the
great
monster.
initial attack scene.
Oh yeah, that scene's awesome.
That scene kicks ass.
Yeah. And you say that you're talking shit about the effects, which
I mean, it looked better than it should have.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a time in VFX where they're like, we've reached a new level. We should flex our muscles a little bit. Like, it could have been obscured a little bit more is all I'm saying.
I agree. I appreciate that there's Bong Joon-ho has 2 movies like this. This movie and Okja, which
Okja.
feature a giant CGI creature. And his movies are so smart and subtle and, expertly written scripts. And it's hilarious to me that they're anchored by these giant, just
that
CGI,
is really funny. Yeah.
shitty looking creatures.
Well, because like, I mean, the reason it like works, in my opinion, in The Host is like two reasons. One, the monster has a really unique way of moving around, which it like kind of anchors it in the world is like it moves in such a way where like it swings by its tail along the bottom of that bridge, where like that's so different than anything else you'd see. That like this is just something otherworldly, and it like makes my brain okay with it. And the other thing is that like it's not about the monster. It's about this like family and their relations with each other and how and their individual arcs through the movie, which is so fun. And it's like heavy on the satire with like environmentalism and like how like we treat I mean, like, there's just and like how the news blows things out of proportion.
Sure.
It's just like so much about those people that like it didn't really bother me that like there were only and like most of the scenes with the monster, like I can make my brain stupid. I can be like, that's a big fish. That's a real big fish.
Absolutely. it was more just like, I admire directors that kind of will lean into like absurd, over the top CGI. Like Stephen Chow, if you ever watched any Stephen Chow movies.
No, I don't think I have.
Kung Fu Hustle, Shaolin Soccer.
Oh yes, I have. I didn't realize that was his name.
I love how his CGI. It's so bad, but it's so like what he's doing. It's so over the top and cartoonish that I love it. You know.
It's kind of like it feels like a predecessor to what the Daniels are doing.
Sure.
Where it's like very practical, very obviously like weird, and like I mean theirs is more practical than like Stephen Chow.
Stephen
Chow's. God, I gotta watch Shaolin Soccer again. That movie
great.
kicks another one with a really tall guy
Uh-huh.
who just stands up. Yeah, God, that shit is so good. He should make a horror movie. Has he?
He made Journey to the West. Not really a horror movie, more of an adventure, but it has horror elements.
It can get a little scary. A little spooky scary.
He's awesome. You should see everything he's done. All right, Charlotte's pick.
Green Room.
Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
This
is another movie with an arm being carved up in a door.
Well, and this is a movie I would maybe even say, is this a horror movie? To me, this is kind of a straight thriller.
Yes, definitely. It's and it plays out like a thriller. Like,
I mean, Nazis are scary.
Nazis are very scary. Yeah, Patrick Stewart is talking about the bad dope, and he says some other words that I won't say on the podcast or in life.
Movie.
But he's amazing. I'm like, how did that become the guy? And it's one of Anton Yelchin's last.
Yep. Rip.
So Green Room is you want to talk about grounded? That is an extremely grounded. It's just like a punk band in a Nazi like venue deep in the woods of Oregon, which is Nazi country, unfortunately. And it doesn't the inciting incident is not what you're expecting. Like it sets the tension high immediately, but then like it is very much a thriller, but like I put it as a horror movie just because like the way it like makes you tense up and stuff. Like obviously like Sunday Scaries, it's genre fluid. And maybe when I decide on the movies, I should have a genre reveal party. That's one for me. It's a different G sound than gender. Gender.
That took me a second.
Genre. Yeah, Green Room just fucking rocks. Everyone's good. For some reason, most of the band are like English actors. It's got that one dude from Peaky Blinders. And is Imogen Poots? No, she might be American. Alia Shawkat. Actually, never mind. Most of them are American. But yeah, Alia Shawkat's really fun. I love seeing her and stuff. I mean, there's not really too much to say other than watch Green Room.
Yeah, I watched Green Room. It just had so much. It's one of those. It's like a one location thing, pretty much, but it's weirdly relatable. Like I've been in bands and stuff, but I've like also been in places where I'm like, all right, we probably shouldn't be in this fucking place.
Yeah, It brings some like weird dynamics in when because you're walking into someone else's dojo. And, you may have a sound guy that from the jump is like, I hate you and I don't want you to succeed. Because I watched this as part of my little like pre-tour collection of movies.
Okay.
Like it wasn't intentional. I watched it like well before, but I watched this and then I watched Dig. And then I watched This is Spinal Tap.
Oh, nice.
Which, yeah,
That's
and
a
then
perfect
was it
trilogy.
you that recommended Almost Famous?
Probably. I mean, I like that movie, but it probably wouldn't be.
I think it was someone else who was
I
saying
love
that would be
Cameron
another
Crowe.
good tour movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really fun to like go on tour after watching Green Room. We weren't siphoning gas.
You got to add Anvil.
Anvil?
The story of Anvil.
Is that a tour movie?
It's a tour documentary. It's great.
Right on. Hey, you know what else we should add? An ad read.
Oh yeah, I'd love to
Maybe
do that.
two.
We have a Message from our sponsor here. Every year it feels like the holiday season sneaks up on us. The holiday rush means more mailing and shipping for your business, but it doesn't have to mean more stress. Stamps.com has been helping businesses save time and money for 25 years, and it can help you get ready for the holiday ramp up. All you need is a computer and printer to use. Stamps.com. They even send you a free scale, so you'll have everything you need to get you started. You can even schedule package pickups through the Stamps.com dashboard. Plus, if you sell products online, Stamps.com seamlessly connects with every major marketplace and shopping cart. Get your business ready for the holiday rush. Get started with Stamps.com today. Sign up with promo code FHPod for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a free digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com, click the microphone at the top of the page, and enter code FHPod. Yeah. Burnt your last piece of toast? Avocado's gone bad? Or is it the hot sauce bottle that's empty? Well, try grocery delivery from DoorDash. You'll get everything you want delivered when you need it right to your freaking door. You've trusted DoorDash to deliver your restaurant favorites, and now you can get your grocery delivery that actually delivers too. With thousands of grocery stores to choose from, you'll find the best in your neighborhood and boost your local economy with each and every order. You'll get exactly what you ordered, or we'll make it right. So sit back and enjoy quality groceries, just like you picked them yourself. Want even more value, man? You can save on all your grocery and restaurant favorites with a $0 delivery fee on all eligible orders with a Dash Pass membership. With easy substitutions right in the app and best-in-class customer service, DoorDash delivers groceries exactly how you want it. Get 50% off your first DoorDash order up to $20 value when you use code FUNHOUSE at checkout. Limited time offer, terms apply. House is spelled H-A-U-S, not the normal way. That's 50% off up to $20, no min subtotal, and 0 delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter the code FUNHOUSE. Remember, that's H-A-U-S. Don't forget, that's code FUNHOUSE for 50% off your first order with DoorDash. We're back with Sunday Scaries. Charlotte, what's our next movie we're going to jump right into?
Let's keep it light. Let's keep it fun. Mom and Dad with Nick Cage.
Movie where one of the best subgenres of child killing movies, I guess.
Yes, at the hands of their parents.
Yes.
We talked about The Visit the other day, but Mom and Dad it's lean, it's fun, it's very funny, and it doesn't shy away from how dark it is.
Sure.
Like, you think for a while, like, I forget who the wife is played by. Someone of note.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
No,
say. It's not?
I don't think so. No.
Okay, I'm going to look it up right now.
Because I would remember because I love her. But it's
I'm sorry. You're right. Selma Blair.
It's Selma Blair, yes, right. And she, like, there's a moment almost where you think, like, maybe she'll be able to resist whatever this thing is. Because she's such a sympathetic character. She's such, like, a well-rounded and, like, down-to-earth, like, not, like, you know, she's rational.
Sure.
And then as soon as she gets home, it's just like, I gotta kill these fucking kids. And it's so fun. The movie doesn't care about why it's happening. Like, some people entertain, like, it's a virus, it's radio waves, it's something they put in the water. And it's like, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. They just want to fucking murder their kids, which is so fun. And it has like a Home Alone kind of vibe. And it's just like, yeah, the one scene with the train that I think it starts on is just like,
I would put this
right
as
on.
like you said, a super solid, fun little movie. It's only like an hour and a half.
Yeah, tight 90.
Tight 90. I would say like I think I give it I have it as an 8 here, which means great. But I kind of wish that there was another version of this movie that was more hardcore.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, definitely.
Like
I get that.
the Battle Royale version where it's just everyone's psycho, and then you see, you know, I not that
kids
I want
dying?
to
You wanna
see,
see kids
not that I
dying?
really am like want to see just brutal.
I get what you're
children dying,
saying
but
though, because it's kind
see
of
children explode every
it's
once in a
kind
while.
of plucky. Like, it has like a happier ending
Sure.
than the premise would necessarily
Exactly.
allow.
If you're gonna make a movie about parents being hypnotized
What
and
did
then killing
what
their
did I rate
kids, go
this?
full tilt.
Oh, I rated it kind of low, but liked it. That's what I do sometimes. I rated it 2.5 and a like. But I
Okay.
typically rate low. Like 3 is like solid for me.
Out
on
of 5,
Letterboxd.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so 3 would be.
I like to leave a lot of headroom for like really spectacular movies.
You know, and Omar has always given me shit for this. In my
He
ranking
is like
system,
that,
because to me, that each number corresponds with an adjective, right? So,
Yeah, we've talked about this,
I know
I
we've talked
think.
about it, but 10. Just to go over it again, 10 is a must see. 9 is amazing. 8 is great. 7 is good. 6 is okay. 5 is I forget, like average, so or something. I'm sorry, it gets in the weeds. Or then there's poor, bad, terrible, and awful, or something like that.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Anyway, so I just
out.
sit there and go, was that movie good? It's a 7. But in
yeah.
hindsight, I kind of wish I had weighted it a little bit more to where 6 was good, like you're saying, and then 7 is there's another adjective in
Definitely,
between there, because sometimes I'm like, this movie was fine, it was good, but 7 makes it seem like it's better.
Yeah, it's totally a vibes-based thing for me.
sure.
Like if I sat there and thought about it, like if I wrote a dissertation, I would probably rate all these movies differently. But as soon as I finish watching, I try to fire from the hip. And
I
I'm
agree.
Just like,
That's the way to
let
do
me.
it.
Which I should
with
have
your
been
gut.
talking about what I rated each one of these on the list, because this is my letterbox. But I can do that moving forward. We talked about Parasite a little bit, Bong Joon-ho. I saw that one in theaters. That was also a pre-Sunday Scary, because that one kind of just like wasn't. It's not a horror movie at first. Like
I really wouldn't call it a horror movie at all.
It's
personally.
very much like a psychological, like I think it has like elements of horror, obviously, but like it's more horrifying than a horror movie. Like it's kind of like appalling and tragic.
Definitely tragic.
Yeah, it kind of fucked up. I mean, there's room on Sunday Scaries for fucked up movies.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's let's see. I feel like Us was just fine.
That was one of the first Funhouse videos I ever was in.
Yeah.
It was Filmhouse and Us, and everyone, and I came
Right,
in. I
you
came in
hot.
blazing.
You came in hot.
About saying, I didn't like Us, and everyone's giving me shit. And then in the comments, it was just like, I don't know who this new fucker Ryan is, but he's a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And fuck him for his movie
But
taste.
you've been vindicated.
Have I?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's widely agreed that Us is like his weakest.
Okay, thank
Because
God.
I have Nope elsewhere on this list, and like Nope is not a horror movie really, but like there's some scenes that were like pretty tense and scary. So I think I think all of his movies qualify to be. Obviously, Get Out does.
I definitely like Nope more than Us, but I did not love Nope. Yeah, I also don't think I articulated myself very well in that Us podcast, but yeah, I don't know. That movie just kind of pissed me off, honestly.
I gave it 2 stars.
The ending, I bet you I gave it, about probably a 4, which would have been a,
Yeah. I mean, there
2
was
stars.
stuff that I liked, but then like, see, this is what I was saying about like Mom and Dad. Like the movie was like, we don't care why this is happening or how this is happening. We're just focused on how it's happening to these people.
But then they do care about how it's
that's what I'm
happening at
saying.
the
That's
end.
the problem with Us, is that it goes so into the weeds about like revealing and explaining this world, and like none of it makes any fucking sense.
Yeah.
And like it could have been so much better to not do the hands across the world thing, which I know kind of is what it is, but like to have them in this underground, spoilers for Us, it had this underground area, right? Like none of it made any sense, and it seemed like the movie was like, we got to explain all this, and it's like, I really wish you hadn't, like, because it was like way better with like scary Tim Heidecker and Elizabeth Moss, and like I just thought like that was fun.
I forgot Tim Heidecker was in there.
Yeah, he plays a great asshole. So that was 2 stars. What else are we looking at on here? Quiet Place 2, whatever. The Invisible Man remake. Speaking of Elizabeth Moss,
I didn't hate that.
I liked it a lot.
That was the last COVID movie, right? I think that was the last movie I saw in movie theater before COVID ended.
Mine was Little Women.
Okay.
That is around when this came out. They took classic Universal horror monster, The Invisible Man, which have you seen the original?
I don't think so.
The black and white one. It's
good.
so this one, the new one, it gives it, much like the Suspiria remake, it gives it context, and it is the context of escaping an abusive relationship.
Okay.
Like how that person stays with you, and she's basically haunted by her abusive ex who she escaped, who through some means has managed to achieve invisibility. Whereas the first one, it's like the invisibility serum is found to also cause madness. And so there's just like If I remember correctly, it's just a white shirt moving around. It's like, aha, you can't catch me. And then everyone's like, I can't see him. And then he goes out into the streets and he's like, aha, how do you feel about this? And then picks up a bike and he's like, a bicycle flying. And he throws it at them. And it's just like, oh my God, it's so silly. And I watched the original one after I had seen the new one. And like, worlds apart. Like, they're barely even the same media. But like, it's so funny because it's so stupid, but also such early use of like this technology of like keying someone out in film. And it must have like in the moment, it must have been like, how did they do this? This is horrifying. And like the way the new one does it is so cool and subtle. Like when she walks out of the kitchen, you just see a knife just get picked up and then it cuts. Like that's so smart.
There was a lot of cool little filmmaking things.
Yeah, that was a fun one. And like they really like, it felt like they really sat down and they were like, okay, how would an actual invisible man like work in a space? Like when she kicks a paint can down and it just like, it's this horrifying, just like creature now, just like half covered in paint splatter. And they used that mechanical camera arm. I think it's called like MIA or something, but like it does those crazy like whip shots where it does it in real time. It's kind of hard to explain, but like it's basically an articulated arm like you'd see like at an auto manufacturing plant, and it just whips the camera around, and that's how they got those crazy shots, like POV of him like grabbing someone by the throat invisibly and then like throwing them to the floor, and the camera follows it because if you look at it the way it operates extremely quickly, but shoots at such a high frame rate. That they can,
that's cool.
It's really cool. Yeah, like I forget what it's called, but like highly recommend looking up this like articulated camera arm because it was such a cool inventive way of doing it, and it looks like a special effect, but it is technically practical. I mean, it's through the amazing camera work, that a human could not achieve, I don't think. Like maybe a member of Cirque du Soleil or something. Like I don't know, but like so good, so fun and inventive. What did I give that one? I rated that pretty high, I think. I rated that 3.5. Yeah.
Okay, that would have been a 7 for me.
That one's really good. There's so many movies.
Did you ever see Hollow Man by Paul Verhoeven?
No, I want to see that one. Is that Kevin Bacon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a remake of the same movie.
I mean, it's at the very least a very similar.
Yeah,
It's Man Invisible. Yeah.
It's not great, but
okay.
It's Paul Verhoeven's horny ass directing it, so you got a lot of Kevin Bacon, being invisible, watching his wife in the.
Oh my God. Oh, I would let Kevin Bacon watch me.
Good to know.
He doesn't have to be invisible either.
Commenters, if you let Kevin Bacon watch you undress while he was invisible, please let us know down in the comments.
Less than 3 degrees, let him know that I'm game.
Send it through the chain. We need to get the word back.
Kevin Bacon just like sitting there like, you can come into my house and watch me, Kevin. I got like 15 minutes left.
I'm embarrassed to say that I've never watched The Lighthouse, which I love Robert Eggers now after The Northman. I did not love him after The Vivitch.
So cool. Yeah, The Lighthouse rocks. I mean, like
that's what I hear.
It's just men experiencing overt cabin fever, and like the way it looks is like so unsettling, and it's like all in. I don't even think it's 3:4. I think it's 1:1. I think it's like square aspect ratio, and like it feels so closed off and awful, and like Willem Dafoe is playing such a fun like. It feels like a caricature, but I would believe that that's how those guys were. Like old sea dogs. And he's like, you don't like me beans, you don't like me lobster, Wilson. Highly recommend. That's another one where it's like, is it horror? No, not really. It's more of like a like extremely tense thriller kind of, but like it's so unsettling that I feel like it belongs very comfortably here in Sunday Scaries.
Since we're nearing to the end of our time together, should we just kind of blaze through
Do we just
want
to like rapid fire the ones that I haven't talked about?
Yeah, like the notable ones. We don't go.
Let's talk about some of the newer ones that's come out in the past couple of years. I'll start with Smile. Smile was fine. It could have been better. It was like last year's like big budget horror entry. So did you see that?
I did not see it.
It was fine. It was good. There were some like great effects. There were some fun like kills kind of happening, but like it didn't go as weird as I wanted to. Like a lot of it was kind of like a conventional horror movie. But something it did do really fun was the like jump scares were just done through typical sound design. Like it would have like a slamming of a car door and it's done so loud and so on or right before the cut that like you're expecting a traditional jump scare and then like boom, it's just someone honking in another cut to a different scene.
Cool.
And like that's a really good way of like subverting the expectations. Like this is very much a movie that exists on top of like everything that came before it.
Sure.
Like, yeah. But I also like something that bothered me is like, so she's haunted by this like demon. And it shows itself by smiling. It can take any form, but it's always smiling. But like, there's no point in the movie where like a normal person smiles at her and she goes crazy and like loses her mind. Yeah, that doesn't happen.
Missed
like,
opportunity.
Which seems like pretty like it should have had more smiling. Like the fact that it's called Smile seems like just kind of following that thread of like, what if we put a scary version of a children's song in a movie trailer? And it's just like, we've done that. You have to do the next level.
Well, I kind of was mad I didn't see this one because when I saw the trailer, I thought I had a really good trailer.
Good trailer, yeah.
That always worked whenever I saw it in the theater. But also, I liked the simple nature of the concept of this movie.
It looks good and it is unsettling, and I recommend
anyone
it.
can smile, but yeah, smiles in wrong contexts are pretty creepy and weird sometimes.
Which is kind of the whole deal. Like, wouldn't it be creepy if this thing smiled? But
Yeah.
like, the psychological aspect did not do it for me. Like, I feel like she should have been like she's completely unhinged by the end of the movie, which is super fun. But like, I feel like she could have been. It didn't really translate into the world, although there was an amazing children's birthday party scene.
Okay,
which is all
always
I'll say.
good.
Which like I cheered watching it at home. I was like, hell yeah,
my old stomping grounds.
Yeah, you'll appreciate it especially.
Okay,
but you realize what's happening right before it happens, and you go, oh no. So like that shit rocks. Like it was a fun movie. It was cool, and it was kind of like in the vein of like the It Follows. Like, you know, this thing will never stop until you're gone.
Yeah.
But The Menu came out last year, fun performances,
Fuck
but it did
that
not
movie.
do enough. It was like so many missed opportunities after missed opportunities. Like when they sent those guys out to get like the eggs and like the loser will such and such. And like, I'm like, oh, someone's going to die. Nope. They just did the whole thing. And then it just, I don't know. It's just disappointing. It felt like it had so much, like so many ideas, and Ralph Fiennes Rafe Fiennes, R. Fiennes was like really fun. And I like Anya Taylor-Joy and Nicholas Hoult together. Like just a whole cast of characters, but like, boy, did it disappoint.
Yeah, it was so disappointing, and it was the first time I'd seen, you know, because I fucking love Battle Royale, you know. And movies like that, we've touched on it earlier with Mom and Dad, and this was you know, basically just like a bunch of people have to kill other people for some stupid reason.
Yeah,
you know?
which is what I thought this was going to be.
Which is what it kind of is at the beginning, a little bit, like, or it says it's going to be that, or at least the trailer kind of made it seem like that. And this
definitely
to me, where I was
did.
just sitting there going, this is like just the lamest version of
It
that
was
kind of a
so
story.
unsatisfying, and I feel like it didn't actually like lampoon like the fine dining, like upper crust like it wanted to. Like it just fell so flat. Like, and like the emotional core is an Anya Taylor-Joy, which like kind of worked with Ralph Fiennes, but you could never tell how he felt about her. Really, it was just like. It just like was so disappointing, and like the motivations made no sense. Interesting thing,
and the ending was fucking terrible.
The ending was
just
awful.
Sitting there accepting they're burning alive
the ending
as marshmallows.
Was horrendous.
Go fuck yourself.
I was just like, it would have been cool if like the kitchen staff was even more demented about like killing themselves. Like there's like a couple shocking parts.
Sure, when the one chef kills himself, that was cool.
Yeah, that was cool. But like that's the highest height the movie reaches. Oh, what was I gonna say? I can't even remember. It was just like, oh yeah, fun fact: the opening shot of this movie, stock footage. Yeah,
that's amazing.
So it starts with Anya Taylor-Joy smoking a cigarette, right? But if you look, someone pointed this out on Twitter. They also found the stock footage on a stock site. It is a close-up of a woman lighting a cigarette, but like different nails, different setting, different like. Face and then it's so close up, and it only just starts. That opens on this shot of a woman lighting a cigarette, and then it cuts to Anya Taylor-Joy on the dock outside with a cigarette,
That's so weird.
Honestly, they got away with it because like that's kind of like the perfect time to not catch that, because why would you be expecting that? You're getting right into it. But like if you watch it, it's different. It's a different person. It's a different cigarette. It's a different place, cameras, lighting. I mean, they obviously color timed it to fit, but like so interesting to me. That's like a little like, you know, as a post person, I'm like, okay, good on you that you got that by most people.
Wow. I mean, so they suck at every element of filmmaking.
Coverage?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, also they could have started with any shot. I don't know. It did not have to, like, the cigarettes kind of come into play later because that's,
she's trying to quit.
I don't know. Why are we spending time on the menu when it's
fuck
right
the
next to
menu.
Barbarian?
Oh, yeah. Give me
Yeah!
more. Zachary Gerd.
The
Love
best hard cut in cinema to Justin Long.
Oh, yeah. That scene rocks.
That is like, it goes from so horrifying to, you want to talk about subversion. God, when she like invites that Skarsgård in.
Uh-huh.
And I won't say what happens, but like, not what you'd expect. Like,
Not at all.
The movie goes, oh man.
Talking about not what you'd expect, like I've never heard of a director. I watched interviews. I love the fuck out of this movie, but like he talks about in interviews how he was like, yeah, I didn't know what was gonna happen. I just sat down. It was like a writing exercise for me, and I'm just sitting there like it was like 30 pages in. I'm like, all right, now what happens? And so you can. It's one of the
it does.
movies
Yeah,
where you
it
can
did
feel that in
change
the
as
script.
it went. You're right.
Where it's like, wow, this like you're kind of like, how did we get from here to there? But it's like, wow, the writer didn't even know where it was going.
Just followed the thread.
You can feel that.
I mean, in the it does feel like it could go any way.
Right.
And the fact that it did go the way it did, I was like, oh, I'm pleasantly surprised. And then when it keeps going the ways it goes, like, if you haven't seen Barbarian, go watch Barbarian. Like, it may not even be for you, but it is required viewing. Like, it's something that I think is going to just like, it's one of those like films that is going to be like, looked back on as like, oh, this was like a maybe like a minor sea change. Like this is gonna bring about like a different kind of like.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like, it's just good, and also another tight 90, just about. If I remember correctly.
And also not only just watch it, but watch it with as many people as you can find.
Oh,
like, it's a good
I watched
party
it
movie.
alone, but I want to watch it with people.
Yeah, because I watched it with a friend like at the theater, but then I like went and got some friends to watch it, and I just had so much fun sitting there watching them squirm.
Yeah, it's so discomforting, and also I love to see Justin Long.
Oh, he's great.
I love seeing Justin Long.
Yeah.
It's a joy. With the few minutes, Evil Dead Rise.
So
we can end with the most recent one I watched. But
competent, good. I enjoyed it. It's probably my least favorite of all of them. You know, I really like the last remake that happened a decade ago.
That's the only one I haven't seen.
I like that more than this one. And well, I say that I maybe like this one more than the original a little bit, and I love the fuck out of the original just for what it did. But in terms of like, if you're gonna pick a movie to rewatch, you know, 2 and especially 3, Army of Darkness.
Yeah, I don't know if I can compare this to Army of Darkness though, and I know you've had to like do this so many times, and I'm not here to put your feet to the fire because I also like Army of Darkness. It's like a very different movie.
Top, very important film for me. Probably top 10.
And that tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked this. I thought it was so fun. I want to watch the remake. I mean, like, it just like, I like a sequel that's like totally disconnected from the original. Not actually, like, there's like the Necronomicon or whatever in this one, but like different characters, different place, but it so understands what the original one wanted to do. Like the silliness and scariness, I feel like. I mean,
a little disagree.
Yeah?
A little bit. In the sense that
maybe it's
like,
been a minute since I saw it, but I do think that.
It's a hard task to be given to say, hey, go make a remake / like just vibe sequel to a beloved Sam Raimi movie.
Yeah.
Because he's such a singular, unique filmmaker. So it's like, James, I think, was talking about this when the movie came out. He's like, what is an Evil Dead movie? Is basically, and he says, like, it's just a bunch of demons that are being an asshole to you, essentially. Like, that's their big thing, is that they're just kind of jerks. And, you know, there's a chainsaw at some point, essentially, and a lot of blood.
Yeah, something that
like,
digests
and I don't know.
trees.
There's something about taking it out of the cabin in the woods
You think so?
that for me personally, I didn't buy this movie in the setting, the New York setting or whatever.
LA.
Are they in New York or they're in LA?
Yeah.
Whatever. They're in an apartment building though.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just like I didn't. It just kind of felt like
Because
they were trying to make a Evil Dead remake that and try to shoehorn in all the elements. Because at the very end, I thought that the whole final fight was kind of lame, where it's just like out of nowhere, she just randomly sees a chainsaw in a Dutch angle, you know, like Sam Raimi would have done, and then she grabs it.
Yeah, no, yeah,
in a
but I was so
parking
bought in
garage.
at that moment that I was like, "Fuck yeah, let's just get it done. Let's wrap it up."
I guess
like it didn't languish in the like spookiness for me, which I was glad about. Like it was like, what's the next thing? Like we're not.
I thought it could have been scarier, and it kind of like what I was saying a second ago. You know, it gave me like little member berries vibes, where it's like, remember the chainsaw? Remember this thing?
Yeah.
Oh man,
See, like,
remember from the first movie?
It's been so long since I saw it that I was like experiencing it as its own thing. Because like
Yeah.
I saw Evil Dead 2 probably like 15 years ago, and maybe not since.
Mm-hmm.
But like I thought it was so fun, and I also liked that the characters felt different from what I remember from Evil Dead movies. Like I want to go back on the 2013 one's been on my list since I watched this, but I really
Way more hardcore. In a
It
good way.
is?
Yeah.
Okay, because
Way
like
bloodier.
there was like a bunch of hardcore shit. Like this did like went further than like Mom and Dad. We were talking about how like it's pretty, you know, it's pretty plucky. Everyone does fine, and like this movie does things where it's like, oh, I didn't think they were actually gonna do that.
You
like
mean the new remake?
the new one, yeah. Like
a little bit.
I won't like go into detail, but like it makes decisions that like you don't necessarily take for granted for a horror movie to make.
Yeah, it's like a little more hardcore than your average horror movie, but it's not as hardcore as I want my Evil Dead.
Okay,
horror
well
movie to
then
be.
I gotta watch the remake. That's high on the list,
Yeah.
and then talk to me.
Talk to me.
Talk to me.
You know,
Baby, talk to me.
Talk to me. I was looking so forward to that movie because it's these two YouTuber brothers from Australia
yeah.
that I think that their career is awesome. But I would say that I thought that this movie was pretty good. Like not great, solid 6 or 7 out of 10, and you know, it was well made. But I did not walk away from it being blown away.
I think I would say really good.
Really good.
Yeah, where I really enjoyed it, and it's not like it didn't like blow me away like It Follows. But like I really liked. It had some like amazing set pieces, and it nailed like teens in a way that like most movies just don't understand, like teens.
I think that's a good point. It
Like-
does have cool teen stuff, especially
Yeah.
the montages of them all. Getting
Yes,
high on
because like
possession.
if you had just a bunch of shithead teens, I don't know what it's like in Australia, but if it's like America, that is exactly how it. Like if one acquired an occult item, everyone would just be like, "Oh, did you hear about this fucking thing?" And just like taking videos of it, like it's a fight behind the Duncan, and like that would to me was like it was really fun, and it felt really authentic, and like the teens behaved in a way that like it made sense for like what do you do if your entire main cast for the most part is just hormonally driven and stupid and want a validation and like approval from your friends, and like every character felt like so fun and real, and like the end I was like that's fine. Like the end, like I think it wrapped it up. I think it went where it needed to go.
To be honest, I was going to say one of the things I really liked about it was the very, very, very end.
Oh, the
scene.
very, very end was
I
phenomenal.
was like,
Yeah.
that's a good way to end
I
this
was a little
movie.
confused. Maybe I was just like turned around, but I was confused by like the motivations of like what the spirits wanted her to do and why she was doing anything. Like, was she following orders? Was she
Sure.
resisting orders? And like the movie didn't really care. Like we've talked today a lot about like, does the movie care about like explaining to you why certain things are happening? And like when a movie can like let you check out and just enjoy the events without having to like second guess it and be like, but why is this happening? Like,
Yeah, kind of like the end of Men, how it doesn't explain why that's happening, and you're like, wow, this is an amazing movie.
Right. Yeah. Not horror, but like all of John Wick 4, a movie I really enjoyed. The whole time I'm like, why the fuck is he doing this? Is it honor? Like what are his motivations? What drives him? Like, I don't know why this character is endangering all these important people to him. Like, and that brought up like, if this better be worth it, you risk my father's life. And it's like, why, dude? Like, why is he doing any of this? But like, Talk to Me, I think that's getting a sequel.
I believe it.
I feel like this kind of like I feel like the like A24 like Blumhouse style like art house horror had kind of like reached a point where it's like, all right, what? Let's juice it. And I feel like this kind of was that juice. From what I hear, it was bought on the spot at a festival by A24.
I think you're right. I think Sundance or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. Horror movies are like literally besides the superhero industry, like
the profit margins,
only ones that you can kind of count on to for everyone to go to the theater for. Horror
yeah,
movies.
you're right. I mean, like
horror movies and Taylor Swift concert films. Anyway, everyone, we've had a great time here on the Funhouse Podcast with a super special Sunday Scaries episode featuring Charlotte. I would love to do a part 2 at some point.
Yeah, this was great.
This was
mean,
awesome.
like we should do one maybe at the end of the month because I'm gonna try to churn through a lot leading up to Halloween. But like, I feel like leave your recs below.
Maybe I can bring in a list of my favorite horror movies.
I would like that because
you've
recommended quite a few to me. You look through my and I can also go through my list of what I haven't watched yet because like
Perfect.
I have a list that I'm still working through.
Okay.
What did I move up to the front? God, there was one that was just recommended to me. Is it like Rec or something? It's like a Spanish movie.
REC.
REC, yeah.
That movie fucking rocks. Like for real. Like I'm not just hyping this up. Like in terms of the movies that actually scared me, you know, like that movie is up there, top 3 probably, because it's a found footage movie.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and it's like one of the best found footage movies in my opinion.
Okay, because
really,
that's a tough one to nail. Sometimes those are annoying.
Yeah, sometimes they're very annoying. That one was great.
Yeah.
All right, y'all, appreciate it. Leave your movie recommendations down in the comments. Peace.
Boo.
Ah!